So I'm standing in this guy's kitchen and he pulls out a vial of acid. And, the plan, so I'm with this guy, his name's Tommy. The plan was to take 20 drops of the vial and we were going to kill the vial. And that was the plan for our evening. And, so he's got the vial in his hands. He's showing it to me and, he unscrews it or whatever. And, he's getting ready to, drop for us. Because basically he was just going to drop into my mouth and his mouth and just kind of keep going back and forth until we did all 20. So, we're, we're like, all right, let's do this, and he drips me first and then him and then just kind of goes back and forth. And I remember we hit number 5 and that's the amount, I previously had done 5. So that was the most I had ever done and could compare to this experience. And, so at 5, we're starting to go, we're starting to think. And when we hit number 10, we decided that we ought to stop there, because we're both kind of looking at each other like, should we push this any further? I think maybe let's just, we'll go for double what we've done before. That seemed pretty comfortable and not too much more ridiculous. So, the plan from there was to kind of go and take a walk, really instead of doing fuck all, because when you're coming up on acid, you really want to hopefully do something to kind of occupy your mind or meditate or, you gotta do something to help you get through that first initial come up. So we decided to go take a walk and, we leave the apartment, and already leaving this apartment, I'm feeling some effects. I'm feeling really kind of like all excited and anxious, and like my voice is a little shaky. And kind of honestly telling the story now, this happened about 1.5 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. And the funny thing with psychedelics is they're basically Russian roulette, except where every barrel of the gun is loaded. And if that makes sense to you, then that's awesome. But that's kind of how I think of it, because look, you're going to get hit. You just don't exactly know with what. And, with 10 drops of this stuff, I mean, this was pure LSD. This was very potent. This was strong shit, And so 10 drops of it, will do you plenty. I mean, I've done 5 before, and man, the 5 felt like riding a bike with training wheels and a parent holding you on each side. That's how the 5, and I'm talking about drops, or, if you don't know really acid at all, a drop is, you would put a drop of LSD onto a tab. So if you ever see people with those little paper tabs or whatever, it's got a drop of acid or LSD, acid, LSD, same thing. They're just different ways to say the same thing, but that's how the 5 felt compared to the 10. And but we'll get into that, right? Because we're just now taking a walk, probably 30 minutes, probably 20 minutes in. And, one thing too to mention, really the coolest things to see on acid or psychedelics is, nature, views, textures, lights, sunsets. I mean, go out and look at things, that already look really beautiful. You could, go on your computer, your phone, and find crazy things on there, but find real things in nature or in the real world that just, are already beautiful, and try to go witness those things, because with the state of your mind and the elevation of your senses, it's so much more remarkable, and you see so much more within it because of all the geometry and everything. But basically, we take this walk around the neighborhood, right? And we get back, and the way that we came, we had to go down a hill, and so we had to go back up the same way we came. And by this point, it's really starting to kick in. And I'm starting to feel a little bit worried, and we got to go up. I mean, it's not a little hill. I don't want to be like this is Mount Everest or anything, but this is a big ass hill, okay? And we got to get up it, and we're really starting to come up pretty damn good. So I remember getting to the top, and we had to sit down from there because it was like you start feeling really weak is the only way I can put it. And you just start feeling like you're almost like you're leaving your body or something. Like, it's really weird. You just have to like submit, you can't fight it. You can't, you just have to submit, surrender to it, and let it take you. But we're sitting on the top of this hill, and I'm thinking I'm going to Jack and Jill my way down, because I'm just sitting there. I'm like, there's no way, I can move, except for maybe if I got pushed and I rolled down the hill. And so, hold on, I got to pour this tea. And so, we're both feeling it heavy, me and Tommy, and, we're just kind of looking out at the view and appreciating it, but at the same time thinking, oh fuck, are we going to be okay? Like, we're looking at each other kind of like, dude, we got to get back inside, or, this is not going to be a good experience if we don't get back inside and get somewhere safe. So somehow, and I really mean somehow, I don't know how, we just stumbled through the parking lot, because we were on the edge of the complex, and we stumbled through the parking lot, and somehow we get back there, because I don't really have much of a clear memory of that, because it was so overpowering that if anything, I was just trying to focus on making sure I was like stepping on the ground. It felt like there were points where I had to damn near crawl, but I don't really know. Like, that's just how it felt. I was just like, I could barely hold myself together. And so if somebody saw that, they would have just hopefully looked the other way, but you never know. And we make it inside, but we let his key was in the keyhole, and we shut the door. And we never locked the door, apparently. We didn't have enough time. Because, I mean, this thing was hitting like a tsunami. It was coming far and wide and strong, and you could not stop it. I mean, you just had to hang on and pray for dear life. And that's what I was doing. I was glued to the floor for at least 45 minutes, just staring at the ceiling, feeling like I was going back in time. It was a really weird feeling. Like, I felt like I was leaving this reality and going back into some, I don't even know. It just felt like I was completely leaving the time period I was in. And, after those 45 minutes were over, I didn't know chalk from cheese. It was like, it was insane. And I remember looking over at Tommy and thinking, or saying, I don't even know. And I'm like, are we okay? Like, are we going to be okay? And he was a little bit more optimistic than me on right there. He's like, which was probably good, because I was on borderline insanity. I was like, holy moly, this is not good. And we were talking, and he kind of assured me we're all gravy in the Navy, and I kind of felt that too. Like, it started to pass completely, and I felt like I stepped into this new realm where, like, it was ancient technology from the past and the future. Like, the advanced architecture and geometric dimensional shapes were unreal. Of course they were unreal. They're not real right now. They are unreal. But for a minute they were. And, oh fuck, dude. Oh fuck. This was, I want to say this was a hoot and a holler. But this was just pure fucking stupidity. I mean, I don't know what this was, but mostly that's just what it was. We're just commenting on how bananas the visuals are, on how absolutely, like, we're not even in this apartment anymore, you know. And mind you, it's like 7 p.m. at night, maybe 8 p.m. or in the evening or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it was dark out by this point. It had gotten dark. Pretty much as we were making our way through the door, the sun was going down. So in that 45 minutes it's set. And you know, we're just talking about how crazy the visuals are and just like what in the ever living fuck, you know? And finally we start playing some music. It's just like some chill shit or whatever. And I don't know how far into it we were at this point. Not very far. And Tommy pulls out some DMT and a Vapor Genie pipe. Now, for those of you that don't know what a Vapor Genie is, it's essentially just a glass, like a Sherlock pipe, and it's just the best device that you can buy that I've found for vaporizing DMT, right? Because you're not smoking it, because smoking it kind of kills it. And I think there's a right temperature for where it burns the best. It's like taking a low temp dab, you know. You really want to get the most out of your terpenes, right? That's why people take low temps. It's for the terps. And I think of DMT in a similar way. You know, you really want to just slowly roast the top of the bowl and vaporize it and get a thick vapor rather than a smoke, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, well, I'll sprinkle this on top of a bowl of weed and smoke that. I just wouldn't do that. It just sounds unpleasant to me. It really does. DMT is way too much on its own. You don't need another drug. Let alone weed. Weed just acts so weird with other psychedelics. I did end up taking a dab later on, but you guys, I'm sure, want to hear about the DMT. So we're peaking at this point for sure. We're peaking. I don't, 5-6 hours in. I mean, we were just sitting there listening to music for a few hours, just eyes just wide as can be, just, oh my goodness, just what do we have here, just intoxicated. And so this DMT, I want to be very clear, this is some of the most powerful DMT I've ever, like, free-based, like, this was it was a slight tint of yellow. Slight. It wasn't yellow, but it had a slight tint. And I remember we packed that bowl so fat. I think we might have packed the rest of everything. We just packed the fattest bowl we could. And all I remember was, I kind of got the first hit, and I roasted the bowl. Well, I didn't roast it, right? I was gently, but I milked that bowl. I milked that bowl. It wasn't even milk anymore. It was heavy cream. It was 16% milk fat. I milked it just thicker than a thick white girl, and I hit it. And the look on his face when I inhaled, because I knew when I inhaled it, I knew I had inhaled a lot of vapor. And when I looked at his face, when I looked at Tommy's face, the look of disbelief in his eyes made me feel like I just had the biggest hit of DMT on Earth. And it's definitely the biggest single hit I've ever taken. And man, dude, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know essentially how I got to be there. But I was no longer me. I was no longer in my body. It was instantaneous. It was all of a sudden. It was all in that moment. It was just bing. The fluidity was there was no separation. It was just the inhalation of the smoke took me to the sense of oneness and unity. And I remember thinking that this is the peak of human experience, that this is the peak of experience just for anything. This is the peak of experience and of. I remember thinking that was to experience, that was to be alive. That whatever the hell that was. And there was a spirit there. There was a spirit there, but it wasn't. It was me. It was nobody else but me. There was nobody else there but me, but there was a spirit. And the spirit might have been me. I don't know. But there was a spirit there, and it was. I don't think guardian angel puts a better point to it, for the English language at least. I don't know other language, but for the English language, guardian angel, I think that just about hits it. And man, it was like I can't say how good the feeling was, because it was all feeling, but it was so powerful and so overwhelmed. Like, I didn't have a body. And that, I don't know any other way to put that than the difference between me and the environment there was no longer separation. I was just the same as everything else. Like, everything was the same. And it was so powerful. It was so, I don't know, I pretty much cleared the bowl. I mean, he got a little hit, but compared to the experience that I had, it was nothing. I cleared that bowl. And I just remember, I went into the bathroom because I wanted to look at myself when I finally came back, because it was very quick. It was very quick. I wished I could have stayed there my whole life. Now I won't touch it. You couldn't hold me down with a gun to my head and make me do it. I would just say, shoot me. I would say, shoot me, because I'll never do that. You couldn't make me. But in that moment, and hell, if I would have had more DMT, I would have smoked all the DMT in the world. I would have smoked every last flake of it. Speck, crystal, everything. I would have smoked it all in that moment. But I remember looking in the mirror and just not really seeing me. Like, it wasn't me. There was something there, but it wasn't me. There was someone there, I guess. It was a person, but it wasn't me. Like, it wasn't me that I was seeing. And I remember taking a piss. And this was probably one of the best parts. Honestly, I remember taking a piss. And the stream of pee coming from my penis was the most chromatic rainbow I've ever seen in my life. It was like, shit. I gotta drink some more tea. I'm getting cotton mouth pretty bad, as you can probably hear. It is what it is. I gotta talk for a while, And I'm getting better. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about the about the piss. Dude, my pee, man, my pee. It was the most chromatic rainbow I've ever seen in my whole life. And I remember thinking that was probably like it was just so cool. It was like, I've never seen color like that. And it made me think so much more about how color and reflection go together. And that's a whole nother point. But finally, I made it back out, and I started feeling kind of sick, honestly. That much substance will make you, it'll make that much will make you feel sick, especially because of how I was eating at the time. I was on a really poor diet, not taking care of myself, just being cheap and lazy and just unhealthy. And Finally, I actually, I went to the bathroom. I think I took a shit. I felt better. And then I went to take a dab. And I took a dab, and that kind of helped chilled me out. And really from there, it was just so visual for hours and hours and hours that I was just kind of in this trance. And I remember thinking that I had found what alignment was. But what I've learned about alignment and about pleasure seeking is that if you chase pleasure, then you'll end up in the naraka. So if you chase pleasure, if you exceed and you go beyond, the only other way to go is in reverse, or to the other polarity. You begin to experience pain as pleasure when you pleasure seek. So I got to see what it was in a way where I could almost say that I saw it, but I didn't see it. It was like a knowing. It was like a feeling and a seeing. Not visually though. It was very weird, but I remember feeling like I had found this alignment. And for days and days and days after that, I was really depressed. And honestly, that just makes sense. I think I hit the peak of human experience. It only makes natural sense to then go and experience the other side of that, which is extreme depression, I guess. But yeah, by 2:00 the next day, I was still tripping. I mean, I slept a little bit that night, but I was still tripping till 2:00 the next day. And that was probably my craziest DMT story. And acid. Kind of together. They kind of both together. Because acid is really DMT, but when you smoke DMT on the peak of an LSD trip, I've heard a couple people talk about that before, but I'd never tried it, and I would not recommend it. I really wouldn't. As great as it was in the moment, I wouldn't recommend it, because the point of this, look, it's kind of like a lot of my past stories have been like, oh yeah, it was a hoot and a holler, and it ended really happily. And this is just the reality of it, is that when you go that far in to what I still think is considered not yourself, it's seeking outside of. And I think when you go that far in on that, I think the only thing to properly happen is to experience the opposite. And for the depression and for all the sadness that followed, I wouldn't be like, yeah, dude, go do it. It was sick, Like, there's plenty of other ways to have a good time. That was just not really a good time. That was like, it was just a weird time in my life. I don't know. I was like, I just felt like it didn't matter. I felt like I could do it and it was going to be fine. And I mean, now it's fine, it's been enough time has gone by, but yeah, that was absolutely bonkers. I apologize if this wasn't like, as, like people had said before, oh, I like the details or the length of it. I'm trying to make it a little better length. So let me know if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys with more stories soon. It's Vidya. It's been an excellent journey so far. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Peace.